Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. It is now week 6 in the NFL, so we are back with my weekly NFL predictions. If you enjoy the content, make sure you do like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. With that being said, let's get to my week 6 picks. I am not hangry like I was last week, so hopefully we're a little bit more positive this week. So, as you can see, I was positive last week, though. Lots of green over here. So the previous week recap, Falcons beat the Buccaneers in overtime. I was really happy because I thought the Buccaneers were gonna, get my picks, my predictions starting on a good note, and then they absolutely threw the game away. So yeah, Falcons beat the Buccaneers in overtime, 36-30. Vikings beat the Jets. Bears beat the Panthers. Ravens beat the Bengals in overtime. Hell of a game, but Bengals kind of just threw it away at the end. Dolphins beat the Patriots. Absolute snooze fest of a game. Commanders beat the Browns 34-13. Jaguars beat the Colts 37-34. I finally was right about the Jaguars. The Texans beat the Bills. Bills kind of just tossed it at the end. I don't know what their play calling was at the end. Broncos beat the Raiders 34-18. Cardinals beat the Niners 24-23. There's no love lost between me and the Niners, so I was happy to see that one. Packers beat the Rams 24-19. Giants beat my Seahawks 29-20. My Seahawks just look awful defensively, and offensively, if our offense looks bad, then we just look like one of the worst teams in the league. But we can't just defend anybody right now, so good on the Giants for beating us. Cowboys beat the Steelers 20-17. I'm surprised the Cowboys won that game, but it came down to a last-second touchdown, so good for the Cowboys for sure. And the Chiefs beat the Saints 26-13. So 8-6, back being positive overall. So after week 5, I am 39-38. So yeah, net positive on the year. So pretty all right. All right, now over to my weekly top 5 power rankings. So coming in at number 5, we do have the Ravens. I think the Ravens have definitely gotten back on track, and they look very good offensively. I think defensively, it still leaves a lot to be desired. They just can't stop anybody, especially I think the Bengals are just really good, but I'm just waiting for this defense to take that step forward, and then I think they can probably be top 3 in the league. Number 4, I do have the Commanders. I think the Commanders are really good. I really like what the Commanders are doing. I really like Jaden Daniels, and I think they know what they are offensively and defensively, and they play to their strengths very, very well. So I really like the Commanders. Number 3, I have the Lions. Yeah, they were on a bye, so I wouldn't be able to demote them by any means. But I think the Lions are really good offensively. Their defense leaves a little bit to be desired, and they have a lot of penalties. At least they did last time we saw them. So yeah, I still think Lions are very, very good, and kind of like the Ravens. As soon as they get their defense on track, I think this team could contend for the Super Bowl for sure. Number 2, I have the Vikings. It's just hard to move the Vikings anywhere. They're one of the only undefeated teams left in the league, and they're playing good football right now. So as long as Sam Darnold doesn't mess it up, and if they can establish a run game, I think this team is going to be pretty good. I'm not sure what their ceiling is quite yet, though. Number 1 is the Chiefs. All right, and teams that are on a bye this week, the Chiefs, the Vikings. So both the undefeated teams will remain undefeated for one more week. The Dolphins, hopefully they can get healthier and maybe get Tua back, from what I've been hearing, and the LA Rams. All right, so starting off at Thursday Night Football, it is the San Francisco 49ers at my Seattle Seahawks. So we're going to start the week off either really happy or really, really sad. So for the Niners, they have a lot of empty calorie yards. They just don't score enough points on a lot of their possessions, but when you look at their stats, Brock Purdy throws for 300 yards. He has multiple receivers that are over 100 yards most of the time, whether it's Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, just depends on the week. But they just aren't scoring enough. And I think they have way too many turnovers. Not just Brock, but just in general. They fumble the ball. Jordan Mason fumbles it on the 4-yard line. Like, you guys got to take care of the football for sure. And their defense just doesn't scare anybody in its current state. The reason I say current state is because I know this team can turn it up, and especially against really good opponents, they turn it up for sure. So I think the Niners, I don't think they're out of the running for making it to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game by any means. I think their defense just needs to get back on track, and their offense needs to stop turning the ball over. As for my Seahawks, I think our defensive scheme sucks. We can't stop anybody. whatsoever. We need to go back to the drawing board defensively, because what we're doing, it ain't working. Whatever it is, we just have way too many injuries. It just isn't sustainable going forward. I think the offense needs to establish the run game, because every single time we hand it to Kenneth Walker, it seems like he's getting positive yardage. And we need to stop running to the boundary, run up the middle, run through the line. And I get the offensive line is kind of makeshift at the moment because of our injuries, but we got to figure it out. And just like our coach said, Coach McDonald said, no one cares, man. You got to get it done. So I trust him. I'm hoping he gets back on track, because I really want positivity for my Seahawks. And I think like I said, the O-line needs to get better ASAP. We're bringing in a couple of veterans, whether it's a good decision or not, but yeah, we'll see. I do have the Niners beating us. I got the Niners 27, Seahawks 20. I just don't think our defensive struggles are going to improve this week. So yeah, I got the Niners, unfortunately. And our London game for the week, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Chicago Bears. So for the Jaguars, I think it was the best game they've had since Thanksgiving of 2023, which was the last time they won a game, mind you. So that's an insane stat. I think they need to continue to feed their skill players. Bigsby, he definitely was shining last week. ETN, he's a little quieter this year, but I still like what ETN can do. He definitely diversifies their offense, and their rookie Brian Thomas, I like him a lot, and I think they need to continue to feed their good players. Their defense still looks bad. I'm not sure when it's going to improve. Their D-line should be better than it is, but I'm just not blown away by anything they can do on defense, and they give up a ton of points. As for the Bears, Caleb Williams, he looks great against weaker teams, and I'm not trying to diminish what he's doing, but I was hearing everybody on talk shows this week being like, "Oh, he's finally arrived, everybody," and I'm like, against the Panthers, we're talking about the Panthers, and we're saying that this team and Caleb are goated. Like, put me in, coach. Like, I'll look like freaking Tom Brady, I guess. Whatever. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to diminish them by any means, but it's like, pump the brakes a little bit. I think they need to get DeAndre Swift more involved, especially in the pass game. DeAndre Swift is very explosive. They need to get him the ball as much as they can. Their O-line needs to get better, man. Their O-line is bad. It's not as bad as the O-line in Seattle, in my opinion. Actually, it might be on equal footing, just with Seattle's makeshift offensive line, but their offensive line's got to get better. I think Caleb's been sacked, I believe it's either 17 or 18 times this year, so got to improve, got to get better. I have the Bears listed here as winning. I got the Bears 30, Jaguars 24, but this is a trap game. Jaguars play exceptionally well when they're playing in London, so this is a trap game. If you're a betting man, I would not put $1 on this game. Our next game, starting off the early window of games on Sunday, is the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers, both coming off of really good wins for themselves. So for the Cardinals, you don't need a highlight play every single play. And I know Kyler, I think he likes that spotlight moments, and so he is always going for those highlight plays, especially his first touchdown where he's freaking pointing up because he knows he's gonna score. It's really cool. It's really cool, but you don't need it every play. Get the 3-yard check down, the 5-yard check down, and be satisfied with that. And I think this team can be pretty successful if they just take what the defense is giving you. They need to continue to get the ball to James Conner. He is playing very well this year. I think he is still their starting running back. I know they have the backup, and he's been getting a lot of work, but keep getting James Conner the ball. He is I would say he's a quality back for this team. And I think their secondary needs work. They still let up a lot of big plays, and they just can't tackle anybody. As for the Packers, they need to continue to feed Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is really good, but he needs a lot more carries, and I'm just not sure that's what this offense wants to do. But I think if they lean on him, I think they can have some improvement. I think Jordan Love is back. He still turns the ball over a little too much for my liking, but I think Jordan Love is still good, and I think he is going to just continue to get better. And I think their defense needs to continue to get turnovers, because it kind of helps this offense a lot. And I think a lot of this team's success is predicated on the defense first. Excuse me. I got the Packers in this game. Packers 27, Cardinals 24. This one could go either way, in my opinion, though. Our next game is the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. So for the Colts, I think their defensive coordinator, he just needs to be talked to, man. I just don't understand what they're doing defensively. I think their D-line is good, but they just can't stop anybody. I just don't understand this team. Especially, I think Joe Flacco is sustainable for now, but he's eventually going to turn back into a pumpkin. He always does. The only time that he didn't was the year that they won the Super Bowl in Baltimore, and that was, like I said, one year out of his whole career. I think they need to continue to get Jonathan Taylor the ball. They need to get Jonathan Taylor back ASAP because he did miss last week. So, and I think he is the heart and soul of this team. This team does not win without Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion. So for the Titans, they are fresh off of a bye. And I'll mainly be stating that for most of these teams. So I think Will Levis is supposed to be back this week. I'm not sure how we should feel about that, but we'll see. This team needs to find a run game. What they're doing is just not sustainable offensively. They just don't have like a tried and true formula that works. So they gotta figure it out. I got the Colts winning this. Colts 28, Titans 27. This one could go either way just because, in my opinion, these are two teams that are just not great. Our next game is the Houston Texans at the New England Patriots. So for the Texans, so their offense is a little too stagnant at times. They don't blow you away, in my opinion. I think their offense is just, they have those huge plays, like the play he had to, CJ had to, what's his name? Nico Collins, yeah. And which he's injured now, so I'm not sure when he's gonna come back, but they have way too many empty possessions. They drive the ball down, or they get the ball over the 50-yard line, and they kind of just stop playing the game. So they definitely need to improve and get more points on the board, and take advantage of their situations. And I think they need to figure out the run game. I'm hoping Joe Mixon comes back eventually, but yeah, they need to figure it out in that run game for sure. As for the Patriots, 1, 2, 3, Drake May. I've been preaching it every single week. Drake May is starting now. Thank God. I know this offensive line is still ass, but we'll see. I'm very happy for Drake May. Hopefully, he can bring some life to this offense. They need to keep running the ball. I know they benched what's his name, Ramondre Stevenson, but then they kept feeding him the ball, and it was working. But they just can't score any points. So they got to figure that part out. I think their defense isn't awful sometimes. I think Christian Gonzalez is probably still one of the better defenders in the league. But other than him, I don't know. I just don't see it. For this defense. I got the Texans winning this. Texans 27, Patriots 13. I got the Texans in this one comfortably. Our next game is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. So for the Buccaneers, I think Baker's playing very well. I really like what Baker's doing, and I really like this offense a lot. They take care of the football for the most part, except for, like, I think last week was a little bit of an anomaly, but they just got to take care of the football. But I really like what this offense is doing, but their secondary needs to improve. They let up way too many big plays, and I think that's just an NFC South thing. They kind of all of their secondaries are just subpar, in my opinion. So that's definitely got to improve for this team to have prolonged success in order to win this division. So for the Saints, they are very injured. No Carr for several weeks, which I don't know. That might be a blessing in disguise, but we'll see. So we'll see what this team can scrounge together. I think it's Kamara's time to carry. He's shown that he's able to, so he needs to carry for this team, especially now without Carr. I think their defense needs to improve quite significantly. Their D-line is supposed to be really good, and they're just not stopping people like they were in weeks 1 and 2. So I don't know. I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel for this team. I got the Buccaneers winning this. Buccaneers 30, Saints 27. I feel bad being so down on the Saints right now, but they just haven't given me any reason to be positive lately. Our next game is the Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles. So for the Browns, it's time to fire everybody, man. Not just Deshaun, but I think it's time for Kevin Stefanski, I think that's his name, to no longer be the head coach here. I think it's time for a restart and a rebuild in Cleveland. I think you guys drove out Baker Mayfield, and it was probably the worst decision that you guys have made in the past probably 30 years. I think this offense very, very much worked with Baker Mayfield, and it will not work with almost anybody else, in my opinion. And that's kind of been proven with Deshaun. And I don't necessarily think Deshaun can't go somewhere else and be more successful, but I do not see this team ever being sustainable with Deshaun at the helm. And I think it's time to give up. I genuinely do. I would start trading people, start getting draft picks, and prepare for the future, because it's still the worst contract in NFL history for the production that they've gotten out of Deshaun. So, yeah. All right. Moving forward. So they have no run game and they have no pass game. Their offensive line sucks. Their run game is injured. I think I heard Nick Chubb was back at practice. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what I heard. But I don't know, man. I see no light at the end of the tunnel for this team. I think their defense can't carry this team anymore, just because their offense is 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, or 5 and out, something like that. And it sucks. It really, really sucks. For the Eagles, they are fresh off of a bye, and I think Jalen Hurts needs to be better. He is turning the ball over too much. He has a lot of sacks, like too many sacks, and he needs to improve for sure. And I think they need to continue to feed Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon is the heart and soul of this team. This team goes as Saquon goes, so continue to get him the ball, and I think this team will have success. Of course, I do have the Eagles winning this game. I got the Eagles 27, Browns 20. I'll be shocked if the Browns score 20, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm super, super down on the Browns, and I would restart the entire franchise. Our next game is the Washington Commanders at the Baltimore Ravens. So, for the Commanders, I think they need to find a run game outside of their quarterback. He had their most rushing yards last week, and that's just not sustainable. And I know when they interviewed Jaden Daniels, he said he'll do anything that this team needs, but he wants to be a passer. He doesn't want to be, how Cam Newton was for his team, or how Lamar was at the beginning of his career. He wants to be a passing quarterback, and I'm here for it. Jaden, he just continues to be mistake free, and I'm very positive on this Commanders team. I really like them. I think their defense is playing better every single week, but I don't know. I'm waiting for them to go against a really good opponent, and I think they got it this week, so we'll see what they got. As for the Ravens, I think Lamar is a top 2 player in the league right now. He is tremendous. He finds ways to... He just finds a way. And I'm very, very, very positive on Lamar. And I think they need to continue to feed Derrick Henry, even when it's not working. You saw at the end of the game in overtime, you hand him the ball. You've been feeding him the ball, and he bursts out for, I think it was like a 50-yard run, 50-plus yard run. Absolutely continue with the run game. I think their defensive scheme is unsustainable. I know the Bengals offense is, in my opinion, is really good. And they have a lot of playmakers, but this defensive scheme has just regressed significantly since Coach McDonald went to Seattle for us. So they need to figure it out defensively. I got the Ravens winning this game. I got the upset. I think it's an upset. I got the Ravens 34, Commanders 31. I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders won this, but as right now, I got the Ravens. And our first late window game is the LA Chargers at the Denver Broncos. Whoops. So for the Chargers, I think their defense is good. And I think John Harbaugh. It's Jim Harbaugh. I think it's Jim. I think Harbaugh is a good defensive coach, in my opinion. And I really like what this team does defensively. They just got to stay healthy. I think they need to ask Herbert to do more. We've seen him throw for, I think it was like 3,000 plus yards in a season before. I think it was his second or third year in the league. they need to ask him to do more. He needs to contribute more in this offense. And don't get me wrong, their run game is good, but their offense could be so much better if they just let Herbert be Herbert. Don't give up on the run game. J.K. Dobbins is good. I would continue to run the ball. They have so much to do on this offense, in my opinion. Granted, they don't have a lot of great pass catchers. I would really like them to go get Devontae, in my opinion, but I don't think that'll happen. But yeah, I like what the Chargers have. As for the Broncos, I think their poor passing game will catch up with them eventually. I just don't think Bo Nix can. He doesn't take the top off the defense, and I think their run game is good, so they need to continue to run the ball, but it's only sustainable for so long. I think once they start going against those better defenses, the Kansas City Chiefs, the LA Chargers now, I just don't think it'll be as sustainable, but we'll see this week for sure. Their defense is playing much better, and I really like what they're doing defensively. So I hope this team is better. I hope both these teams are better so the Chiefs can fucking lose for once, man. I got the Chargers winning this game. I got the Chargers 20, Broncos 19. This one could probably go either way as well. Our next game is the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Las Vegas Raiders. So for the Steelers, they got to run the ball with Fields, man. You realize that's what made him successful when he was in Chicago. He has to run the ball. Because in my opinion, he doesn't blow you away with his arm, and I think taking away his running factor just makes this offense so boring, and they just don't do anything. They don't surprise you. Their offensive scheme is so predictable, and I just don't understand how this is what this team is. And I'm super low on this team's offense right now. So, like I said, run the ball with Fields. I think their defense is still lights out, though. I think T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, and a couple of the other defenders they have on this team, they are super good. Their defensive scheme is still top 5 in this league, in my opinion. As for the Raiders, it's time to start Aiden O'Connell. Gardner Minshew is just not it. He has a couple of good games every single year, but he's just not good, in my opinion. This team needs a quarterback. I did see the owner of the Raiders was talking to Shedeur Sanders, and he's like, "Ooh, this is gonna be your home," or something like that. Anyway, so we'll see. But I think it's time for Aiden O'Connell to take over. This team has way too many turnovers, and granted that is a lot to do with Gardner. But yeah, I think getting Aiden O'Connell in there, it can't get worse, in my opinion. And I think their offensive scheme just needs some work. I'm just really low on this offense. I think their defense still has the potential to be really good, but they're on the field way too much. I got the Steelers in this game. I'm not very optimistic about this pick, but I got the Steelers 20, Raiders 17. My friend James is a Steeler fan. I'm rooting for you, James. Our next game, which this game should have been flexed to Sunday night, but whatever. The Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. So the Lions, they're fresh off a bye. I think their defense needs to play better than the last showing. They just weren't able to stop the Seahawks pretty much the entire day. So they need to figure it out defensively. I think their offense needs to continue to be explosive. Their offensive scheme is really good. Their offensive coordinator should be a head coach somewhere next year. I think he stayed mainly because he's waiting for the best position for himself, but also I think he really wants this Lion team to win the Super Bowl, and I'm very high on these Lions. So I'm really hoping the Lions continue to have this success. As for the Cowboys, they need their run game to be successful, man. I think this team is super hard to figure out right now, because I don't think they have a sustainable run game, especially against better opponents, better defenses, and I think this team just turns the ball over way too much, and I just don't know what they do exceptionally well, outside of Dak just hucking the ball to his teammates, man. Other than that, I don't know what else this team does well. Somehow their defense looks better without Micah. He was injured last week, so he sat out, and they looked better somehow. I know it was against the Steelers, and like I said, I'm kind of down on the Steelers offense, but this is going to be a big test for both these teams. I do have the Lions winning this game. Lions 34, Cowboys 27. I really wish they flexed this Sunday night. I believe this is our last late window game. We have the Atlanta Falcons at the Carolina Panthers. So for the Falcons, their offense has to play like last week in order to win games. Kirk Cousins has to throw for 300 plus yards, 3+ touchdowns in order for this team to win, because we need to start having the conversation. Bijan Robinson might be a bust. I just don't see it. And we keep waiting for him to be better. And I know the offensive scheme is changed because they got a new head coach and all that, but I don't know, man. I don't see it with him. I didn't see it coming out of college. I just don't see it right now. I think their defense just can't stop anybody. That's why I said Kirk has to, throw for 300-400 yards every week and throw for multiple touchdowns, because this defense isn't going to stop anybody. As for the Panthers, keep running the ball. Chuba Hubbard is the life and soul of this offense because Andy Dalton, he has to make big plays, or I put Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, he has to make big plays for this team to be any successful. To have any success, pardon me. And I don't know. I'm just super low on the Panthers, man. They need a full rebuild because their defense is ass. Their offense isn't good. I don't know, man. A lot of these teams I'm really down on. I got the Falcons winning this game. I got the Falcons 40, Panthers 24. I expect the Falcons to run up the score on the Panthers. I genuinely do. And our Sunday night game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Giants. So for the Bengals, I think their offense is elite. Genuinely, I think Joe threw for, I think it was 4 or 5 touchdowns last week. 1 interception, and it was costly. But I think they are 4 or 5 plays away from being 4-1, which is really, really unfortunate for this team because they're 1-4. So they just gotta eliminate those mistakes. I think their defense might be bottom 5 though. They just don't stop anybody in the secondary. Their linebackers don't stop the run, in my opinion. And I think apart from, I can't remember his name, one of their defensive linemen, he's really, really good. I just don't think they do anything very good defensively, in my opinion, and they need to figure it out. As for the Giants, I think their defense might be top 10. Real talk. Like, I think their defense is pretty good. Is it the best in the league? No. But I think they've made strides, especially since week 1. And I think this team is defensively is a lot better. I think they might have found their run game. I know the Seahawks run defense is awful. So take that with what you will. But I think that running back that they have that ran all over us, I think he might be sustainable for this team. And I think Daniel Jones had his best game of his career last week against my Seahawks. So take that with what you will. I do have the Bengals winning this game, though. I got the Bengals 28, Giants 24. I expect the Bengals to get back on track and kind of grind out a couple of wins here. And for Monday Night Football, we have the Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets. So for the Bills, I think a bad Josh Allen equals ass for the Bills. I know Nick Wright thinks that Josh Allen had a concussion last week, and that's why he played poorly after the concussion. I think he threw nine completions to 30 incompletions last week, so awful. And if Josh Allen is bad, the Bills are bad. I think they need to continue to feed James Cook. James Cook is very good. I think James Cook is sustainable. I'm not sure if he's take the top off the defense or anything like that, but I think he's good for what this team needs. I think their defense has to play like last week every week. I think their defense was really good against CJ. Apart from the one big play to Nico Collins, they need to continue that and continue being that defense that we saw last week. As for the Jets, no more Saleh. So Aaron Rodgers has no more excuses. He got what he wanted. He got the head coach out. So it's time, Aaron. If you can't do it now, then you can't do it anymore. So that's all I got to say about Aaron Rodgers. Whatever. I think they need to get the run game going as soon as possible. Breece Hall, the backup that they have there, get the ball to your good players. You have so many good players on this team, and I'm very, very low on Aaron Rodgers right now, and I don't see this being successful, in my opinion. I think they need to stop turning the ball over. There's way too many turnovers. Rodgers threw 3 picks last week. I just don't understand it. I don't think this team is good, in my opinion, with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. I think you put in another quality starting quarterback. I think this team is very good, in my opinion. This is a trap game, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a betting person, I would not put a single dollar on this game. I had the Jets winning this game. I got the Jets 27, Bills 20. Like I said, this is a trap game. The Jets just got a new head coach. I expect the Jets to win this game just because I do believe that this is a trap. So, well, that was my week 6 predictions. What did you guys think? It's like 6 a.m. when I'm recording this because there was so much news from the NFL last night, or just yesterday in general. So I just want to make sure I got it all together for my predictions this week. So what did you think of my picks? Did you agree with any of my picks? Did you disagree? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in week 7.